ยามเมื่อโลกปราศแสงมองหน้าคิดยอดเมื่อมุดมองอะไรมองไม่เห็นยามเมื่อจิตขาดปัญญาป่าลำมองไม่เห็นดีชั่วที่ควรทำก็ขอธรรมสวัสดีมายังญาติโยมท่านสาธุชนทุกท่านนะฮะวันนี้ก็รายการธรรมะป่าเพลินเข้ามาพบกับท่านผู้ชมในช่วงเช้าของวัดพุทธปัญญานันทารามแวนคูเวอร์แคนาดาแล้วก็ทางวัดอธรรมยตารามเมืองซีแอตเทิลประเทศสหรัฐอเมริกาแต่ว่าสำหรับญาติโยมที่อยู่ในประเทศไทยวันนี้ก็เป็นยามค่ำคืนวันนี้ก่อนหลับก่อนนอนเข้ามาฟังธรรมะในทุกวันเสาร์ซึ่งได้ชื่อรายการว่าธรรมะ for life โดยคุณโยมแจ็คกี้คุณโยมชอตเนี่ยคุณโยมจักริดเนี่ยท่านได้มาบรรยายอยู่ทุกวันเสาร์นะฮะแล้วก็ใช้ภาษาอังกฤษเป็นหลักนะเพื่อเป็นประโยชน์แก่ญาติโยมทุกท่านแล้วก็เดือนหนึ่งก็จะมาสนทนาธรรมเป็นภาษาไทยครั้งหนึ่งนะฉะนั้นตอนนี้ไปก็ขอเชิญคุณโยมชอชได้ให้ธรรมะสำหรับญาติโยมก็ธรรมะสวัสดี
ครับกราบนมัสการครับพระอาจารย์ Good morning everybody in Washington, Seattle, and good morning and good evening everybody in Thailand. We have been living in the world of the technology, in the world of industrial world, in the world of what we call it the civilization. So that's what I have brought the Dhamma of the Buddha or the teaching of the Buddha regarding two words which are used to explain the difference between the world of the Dhamma and the world that we are living and that we are practice. Whatever we do today is the world of what we call it Vidhya. There are difference between Vicca and Vidhya. Vicca, the spelling Vicca, it comes from the Pali word, while the Vidhya is come from the Sanskrit word. These two words have two different meanings. We will begin with Vicca. Vicca is a knowledge that develop to end the suffering, which may generally called as Panya or Buddhist wisdom. In the Buddhism, we consider the wisdom is a highest quality of the mind or the highest mental development. That means we deal with the mind instead of the material. We deal with the spiritual quality rather than the material qualities. So the wisdom not only develop the mind, but also the spirituality of the person. The way that used to develop the mind are as followings. First one, what we call it Suttama Panya. For example, like the study of the Tripitaka, the Buddhist scriptures, the Dhamma study, the study about the teaching of the Buddha, study what the history of the Buddha and his disciples. These are the ground knowledge for those who want to have a knowledge called Vicca. I'm sorry. It's become a basic or foundation for a training oneself before coming to walk on the path. Or even though you are on the path, the process of the study, the scriptures, the text, the Buddhist text called Tripitaka is offered the teaching of the Buddha, and it has been considered as the handbook for life. Everything that has been discovered by Buddha, teaching by Buddha, are in the what is called Tripitaka. It become, from my perspective, it's just like a handbook, a life handbook or a handbook of life that you may not find in any author's book or the scripture or what we call kampi. The Tripitaka offer you many of the sutras that the Buddha gave to different people, to the different places, to a different occasion. And the teaching of the Buddha is so compromised, so compound, and so compromised along the lines of the 84,000 group of the teaching. Never and ever a single one that encounter or having a self-conflict in his own teaching. It's just like a flow of the waters into one big ocean, the great ocean that has become that has offered to the world as the Dhamma. So that's how we get a knowledge, a basic knowledge from reading of the Tripitaka and what we call the Sutta Panya. And then the second process for development of the Panya is we call the Chintama Panya. We use the process of thought called the Yoniso Manasikara, the analytical study, or we can say analytical reading. We finding out cause and condition. When we get the meaning, and then we have to analyze from one meaning to the second meaning or to another meaning. How does it work when we study of the Tripitaka? Like one Pali word, what does it mean? So when we got a good message from the Tripitaka, we analyze in order to get better understanding about cause and condition of everything or all existence or any phenomena. So Chintama Panya is just like we start drawing a map after we get information from the Suttama Panya. We will construct the concrete idea of what we learned from the Suttama Panya, but not yet complete. There is a last one. However, the Suttama and Chintama Panya is just like a compass that when you want to go to the jungle, wherever you want to go, if you are in the boat, in the ocean, you need a compass. If you are a captain, you need a compass. To ship your boat in the great ocean, and then you can make a decision to be on the boat in the great ocean because you got a tools, you got a compass. If you compare your life as a journey, you need a good compass, and that's how the Suttama and Chintama Panya offer you. So you go in the boat, you go out in the ocean. You have much of the confidence. Because you have a quality of you have a good quality of a message or a knowledge from the scripture, from the manual, from the handbook of life. You know in which direction you should go to. You never get lost with the along with a good compass, because this compass has been constructed from the Suttama Panya and Chintama Panya in Buddhism. Then the next step of the Panya development is the most important one. It's called Bhavana Maya Panya. This is what the premium knowledge that that gain from your own experience. You put on your knowledge, you apply on your knowledge that you have been collected from the Suttama and Chintama Panya into the practice, into an action. The great action of in Buddhism is the meditation. So you bring out your own knowledge from the Suttama and Chintama Panya and prove through the process of the meditation, either the samatha meditation or concentration meditation or a vipassana meditation or the insight meditation, in other words. and that's how you prove your knowledge, which is true or false, by yourself. And this process will offer you a greatest quality of the mind, which is called the wisdom, the Buddhist wisdom that arises from your own experience. It's a process of seeing the truth, disclosing the disclosure of the truth by the process of the meditation, especially in insight meditation. When we say panya in Buddhism, we always refer to the Bhavanamaya panya instead of the Suttama or Chintama panya. Why it is so? Because with this wisdom, it's we experience the truth. And the truth in Buddhism is a Four Noble Truth that is covered by the Lord Buddha under the Bodhi tree about 2600 years ago. And it still become a truth, and it will be a truth forever. It's a truth of nature. That's what the Buddha actually taught to the world. A knowledge of the Four Noble Truths will encourage everyone who practiced to the freedom of suffering, and because of it lead the one who practiced to the freedom, and that's why it's called Noble Truth. The truth, the knowing the suffering, knowing the cause of the suffering, knowing how the end of the suffering look like, knowing how to develop the tool to end the suffering. These are such a great knowledge that the Buddhism offer, and it's only in the Buddhism. It has become a strategy. It has become a great tool for those who want to be free from the suffering and bring everyone who practiced to peace, the internal peace. It's the highest knowledge that enlighten the darkness, or the opposite of the Vicca is avicca. Let's take a look at the avicca. Avicca means not knowing. There's a saying of the darkness, the eighth darkness, or the eighth direction of the darkness, which is called avicca. The first one is not knowing, not understanding the suffering, either your own suffering or somebody else's suffering. not knowing the cause of the suffering. We don't know. When we don't know how the problem, where the problem comes from, what is the cause of the problem, we're not knowing how is the situation of not having the problem like. We don't know how to create the tool to end the suffering. You don't understand, you don't know the past, you don't know the future, you don't know both the past and the future of your own. And last one, when you don't know the cause and the effect of things that you are consuming, that you're living in, we call it the dependent origination. The cause and the effect of one moment to the second moment, and so on. We call it the dependent origination, or Patijja Samuttabhata in Pali. So this is what the Buddhism call the darkness of the 8 directions. So the duty or the function of the Bhavana Maya Panya is remove all these 8 direction of the darkness, and that is called enlightenment. That was done actually with the first man of the world, and he has become a greatest teacher of the world, the Buddha Gautama, under the tree. And that come about the meaning of the enlightened is to see the truth. So actually the function of the truth is to disclose, to give a light to a darkness, just like when you walk into a dark room and then you turn on the switch. And that's how enlightenment look like. The moment of enlightenment sound like. When the light come, the darkness is gone. The dark is gone. So the function of the enlightened is, number one is seeing the truth. Number two, to see a true nature of all existence or everything, or what we call it, the Trilakhana, or the 3 natures of all existence, which having the common, the natural nature of the impermanent, which is called anicca, the suffering, which is called dukkha, and the non-self is anatta, uncontrollable situation. When you have such a knowledge of the truth, this will remove all a darkness of your life. You're having a really comprehensive knowledge. It has become a solution instead of problem. When you see a rising and falling of all things, all existence, through the process of the practice. For example, insight meditation, you are gaining what is called, what I mentioned, Vicca. And that knowledge is something very special, and it's only the Buddhism offer that. And because of seeing the truth, leading the one who practice to the liberation or freedom, that is everyone looking for. And the prize is the freedom and peace. So if you ask me to summarize or to conclude what is the Vicca or Panya, just like the following description will answer what is Vicca or Panya. Like the Panya or the Vicca are the tools that serve the mind for peace and wisdom. It is something that very special and used to save the nature. This should be a really the explanation or description of what is called Vicca or Panya in Buddhism, or what we may call it as the Buddhist wisdom, which is different from what we're going to talk about. That is the Vidhya. Let's take a look into the word of the Vidhya in detail. It also as a knowledge, but it is a knowledge that develop the material, or actually the development of the material is the utilization of the nature, and the usage of the material, of the resources, the natural resources, is just like the way that trying to conquer the nature. So the Vidhya or the knowledge that called Vidhya, which is the Sanskrit word, is to serve just only the comfortability or a convenience for the people. For example, the industrial knowledge, the technological knowledge, economical knowledge, or even the scientific knowledge. All these knowledge are serving the people for the physical comfortability or the physical happiness, the physical satisfaction, entertaining the people, make people become more comfortable with such a knowledge. And we are actually deluded to call it as a happiness, which is not. Besides, it's creating more problem than offer the solution. we actually learn and develop such a knowledge to compete each other. We're trying to win over someone, something. We're trying to win over the nature. And that's how we suffer actually with this knowledge, which is called Vidhya, which is differ, which is very, very different from the Vicca or the Panya in Buddhism. We only trying to civilize the material instead of civilizing the mind or the spirituality. When we are comfort, we unknowingly attach to the material. For example, when we have a car, we want to have a better car. When we're living in a house, we want to live in the better house, in the more beautiful house, more furnitures, more garage, more car. When we have a phone, we have a better phone. We have a smartphone. We have a smarter phone. So when we have this knowledge, we actually trying to develop more and more to serve the comfortability for living. It looks like the more that we're trying to satisfy ourselves, we never get ourselves satisfied with the Vidhya, with the material development. The more that you're trying to develop the material, is the more you become attached to the material. And this is actually called tanha, the craving behavior of the one who are using the Vidhya to develop the life. The Buddha said that the tanha samanati, meaning no any river bigger than the river of the tanha, the river of the craving. Knowledge we actually develop eventually today, just like the nuclear weapons. We apply such a knowledge, we apply such a Vidhya. Today we develop the nuclear weapons, the nuclear bombs. So with the Vidhya, how can we approach? How can we how can we living our life with the peace, freedom, and happiness? While we are developing, we're trying to more and more develop the nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs. We're trying to buy more arms, more weapons. We're trying to create it, the high technological weapons that can be launched from one continent to another continent. For example, in US, in China, in Russia, Iran. All these countries are spending a lot of budget, a lot of money, trying to upgrade their own nuclear weapons. So how can we see the peace? How can we arrive the destination of the liberation? How can we have a freedom? Why we are developing the nuclear weapons with the technology, with a knowledge called Vidhyaa. We spend more and more budget in order to make the weapons become more high performance. Why we are calling out for the peace. So we don't know how to spend the budget in order to make our life for the happiness. There is a word saying there is no war for peace. With this knowledge, we lose a sense of what is called metta and the right wisdom, or called panya or vicca, as I mentioned earlier. So if you look into the detail of the Vidhyaa, it is only functioning for the comfort zone, for the physical ability. It's not about metta or loving kindness. It is about the competition. It's about defeating someone. It's about taking over the world. We are losing a balance of the people, balance of the world, because we are losing the loving kindness. We're losing the metta. So Vidhyaa is not about the peace. It's about the war. For example, we're trying very hard to win over in the trade war between, for example, the US and China has become a really serious problem of today's world trade. We use a Vidhyaa or a technological knowledge to conquer the cyber war, the internet, the hybrid war that is going to be the future war for the world. So come to the point that how can we integrate a vicca and Vidhyaa together in order to serve the life, for the better life of the human being. That seems to be a very good question for all to understand and to implement it. And the Buddhism offer a very great answer. There are two teachings of the Buddhism that can integrate the Vicca and the Vidhyaa. The compromising of the Vidhyaa and Vicca. The first one is a metta or a loving kindness. So when we want to develop something, either the material or the mind or mental development, we always see it, we always cultivate the thought of loving kindness or the thought of metta first. When we want to make a decision in the world of industry, in the world of the technology or the scientific aspect, the very first thing that we have to think about before making all those is a metta or loving kindness. So the sense of the metta will remove the conflict. And the second one is panya, wisdom, which is including the mindfulness. So when we are training ourselves to have a sense of mindfulness and wisdom, the knowledge that we gain from the practice is to become comprehensive knowledge. So with these two qualities, metta and panya, it's an integration of the Vidhyaa. And that's how the Buddhism address the significance of both mind and the material, as we know as rupa and dhamma. So these both must be well developed in order to serve the peace. And this is really valuable teaching of the Buddha in terms of rupa and dhamma, which is a highlight, one of the highlight teaching of the Buddhism. To understand the truth that we are not actually different. We are all just an animal of rupa and nama. And that's how we're creating a sense of a loving kindness or metta. Everybody is seeking for the happiness. Everybody is seeking for freedom. We have a same destination. If we want to go to the same destination, we must sharing the same boat in order to make everybody safe in the boat with the sense of the metta or loving kindness. And that's how you begin to boat in the great ocean with the safety. You become a captain with a good compass in your hand. You not only make yourself safe, but you make everybody, all the passengers, safe with the sense of metta and panya. What actually metta and panya works like? Metta and panya is actually the Majjhima Patipatha. It's offer the equilibrium, the balance on the path, on the way. You actually balancing your life between the material and the mind. Through the process of training your mind to reach out the truth, then one can balance the world. And this is the and when once we reach out this point, it's the point where we can see the truth. It's the point where the peace and real freedom occur. It will be the same point where the loving kindness occur. And with the wisdom, it will be more giving more support to the balance. The panya or the Buddhist wisdom will actually help you to stabilize the stage of the balance. And this is the point where the real peace and real freedom or the real happiness exists. And that's how the Buddha saying Vicca Charana Sampanno. We have to both develop the mind and the material. Vicca and Charana. Vicca go to the panya. The Charana go to the behavior that is a physical. So the teaching of the Buddha is the tool to integrate between avijja and the vidhya. And this is how we stabilize, giving a balance to the world. With this message, I just want to remind the people in the area of the industry, in the area of the technology, that ones must to address the integration of what you are doing. You're trying to develop a problem or you are trying to develop a solution. Sometimes we have to sit back and think about what we are actually doing in order to save the world or to destroying the world with what is called knowledge. and this should be I hope this should be a really good reminding message for those who are in the developing area of the world, or if you are considered as the developer, we must think that we applying Vicca or Vidhya, and how we can make this to knowledge integrated. And that is the complete of my talk today. I would like to pass this back to Ajahn Thawatchai.
โอเคโยมเช้าเสร็จโยมก็ลาโยมเลย
Okay, I was allowed to say goodbye to everyone, and now I think next Saturday morning, we will discuss, or we will talk in Thai in order to price for those living with Thai language in all over the world, especially in Thailand, make more understanding and make more learning about the teaching of the Buddha. And we will come back with the program of the Dhamma for life in next Saturday morning. Would like to give you with the blessing of the Buddha, wishing you all safety, healthy, and happiness. And then we will come back to see you next Saturday morning. Thank you and goodbye.